On my birthday, Dad said, we sold your car and cashed out your college fund. Your sister deserves a fresh start. Then he slid over a loan agreement. Co-sign her $22,000 debt or get out. I didn't argue. I just packed. My birthday has never been a big deal in our family. Growing up, I'd get a cake from the grocery store, sometimes a pair of jeans or a new backpack, but never anything flashy. Honestly, I didn't expect much this year either. I was turning 19, fresh out of high school, trying to decide between community college and transferring later, or maybe applying directly to a state school. I wasn't naive. I knew money was tight. But I also knew, from as early as I could remember, that my parents had set aside a college fund for me. My grandpa used to call it your launch pad. I didn't think it was huge, but it was enough that I'd have options. Or so I thought. That morning, Dad told me to sit down at the kitchen table. Mom was already there with a serious expression, and my younger sister, Emily, sat cross-legged on the couch. Scrolling on her phone like this was just background noise. I had this gnawing feeling in my stomach, the way you feel before a dentist appointment. Dad started with, "You're a man now, so we're going to be straightforward with you." He didn't smile. He didn't even wish me a happy birthday. Instead, he slid a folder across the table toward me. Inside were documents I barely understood at first glance. Loan agreements, co-signer forms, payment schedules. The top number jumped out at me, $22,000. Before I could process it, Dad continued, "We sold your car, and we cashed out your college fund. Your sister deserves a fresh start, and we're all a family, so this is how we make it happen." I laughed nervously at first. I thought maybe it was some kind of warped joke, but nobody laughed back. My car, a used Honda Civic I bought with summer job money and birthday contributions, was the first real thing I'd owned. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. And my college fund, that was supposed to be untouchable. I asked, voice tight, "What do you mean, sold my car? How is that even legal? And my fund, that's for my education." Mom interjected, her tone scolding, like I was a child throwing a tantrum over toys. "Your sister's in debt. She needs support. She made mistakes, but she deserves another chance. You'll have plenty of time to rebuild. You're strong, resilient. She's fragile." I looked at Emily. She didn't even look up from her phone. When she finally did, it was with this half-smirk, like this was already settled. She muttered, "It's just money. You'll be fine." Dad tapped the loan papers. "We need your signature as co-signer. It's the responsible thing to do as a brother. You either step up, or," he leaned back, crossed his arms, and finished, "you can get out." That sentence burned itself into me. Not a request, not a discussion, an ultimatum on my birthday. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just sat there, the room buzzing in my ears, like static. Every memory of being second place in this house replayed at once. The nights Emily got a brand new iPhone while I was handed her old hand-me-down laptop. The weekends I was told to mow the lawn while she was excused to rest before cheer practice. The way they called her, our little miracle, and me the reliable one. The reliable one. Reliable enough to sell out for her debts. Reliable enough to be cornered on my birthday. I closed the folder slowly and pushed it back across the table. My voice came out flat, almost calm, though inside I was shaking. "Got it." That was all I said. Dad frowned, clearly expecting a fight, maybe even a breakdown. Mom pursed her lips like she wanted to scold me again, but didn't know what to add. Emily just rolled her eyes and went back to scrolling. That night, I didn't eat cake. There wasn't one anyway. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, hearing every creak of the house, every muffled TV laugh track from the living room. I thought about Grandpa, about how he'd told me once, "That fund is your parachute. No matter what, they can't take it away." And yet, here I was, free-falling without one. I realized then, they didn't want me as part of their family unless I was useful. Useful meant sacrificing, quietly, for Emily. And when the sacrifices ran out, then I'd be disposable. I didn't cry until much later, when I started packing. I wasn't loud about it. Just silent tears, folding shirts into a backpack, slipping my documents into a folder, birth certificate, social security card, the essentials I knew I'd need if I really walked away. I didn't know exactly where I was going yet, but I knew staying meant signing away my future. And as I zipped up my bag, I already began drafting the letter in my head. Not angry, not pleading, just final. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Dad's voice. cosign, or get out. It played like a bad song on repeat. I thought about all the times he told me growing up, a man provides, a man sacrifices, while mom said, your sister needs more support than you. She's sensitive. Sensitive. That word excused everything. Her late-night parties, her failing classes, even the time she smashed my guitar because I wouldn't drive her to a friend's house. She didn't mean it, Mom had said. Be the bigger person. Now here I was again, expected to be the bigger person, but on a scale I couldn't swallow anymore. Around midnight, I pulled out a notebook from my desk. I sat at the kitchen table under the dim light and started writing the letter. My hand shook at first, but the more words I put down, the steadier I got. Mom, Dad, Emily, you've made your choice, and I'm making mine. I will not co-sign Emily's debt. I will not be held responsible for decisions I didn't make. I will not sacrifice my future for someone who mocks it. You've told me, in your own words, that if I don't agree, I should get out. So I am. This is not out of anger. This is out of self-respect. I love you, but I will not be used. Please don't try to find me. I'll be safe. Consider this goodbye. I kept it short. No accusations, no begging for understanding. Just the facts. Then I packed for real. A backpack with clothes for a week. A duffel bag with my laptop, chargers, notebooks. A folder with all the important documents I'd collected over the years. My birth certificate, social security card, passport, even the spare car key, though the car itself was gone. I also grabbed the small box of things that actually mattered to me. A photo of Grandpa holding me as a baby, the pocket knife he'd given me at 12, and a worn paperback of The Old Man and the Sea. By 2 a.m., everything was ready. I set the letter in the middle of the kitchen table. I stood there for a while, looking at it, the house completely silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I thought about sneaking into Emily's room, shaking her awake, demanding she look me in the eye and admit what she'd done. But what would that change? She knew. She didn't care. Instead, I walked quietly out the door. The night air hit me like freedom. Cold, sharp, but clean. My heart raced as I walked down the street with my bags, waiting for someone to fling open the door and call me back. No one did. The house stayed dark behind me. I texted my friend Marcus, who lived across town. We hadn't been super close lately, but I knew he was solid. One of those rare people who actually kept his word. At 2:30 a.m., I sent, "Can I crash at yours tonight? It's urgent. I'll explain later." He replied within minutes. "Yeah, bro, couch is yours." By the time I reached his place, my legs were trembling from the walk, but my chest felt lighter. Marcus didn't ask a ton of questions. He just handed me a blanket, pointed to the couch, and said, "We'll talk in the morning." That small kindness nearly broke me. When I finally drifted off to sleep, it was the first time in years I felt like no one could yank the ground out from under me. The next morning, my phone exploded. 20 missed calls, 10 voicemails, messages from Mom, Dad, Emily. The first voicemail was Dad's voice, booming with barely contained anger. "This isn't funny. Get home. You're being dramatic. We can work this out." The second was Mom, her voice trembling. "Please, sweetheart, just come home. We didn't mean it like that. We just need you to be a team player. Don't do anything rash." Emily's texts were harsher. "Wow, really? You're ruining everything." Then, "Grow up. It's just a signature." Then, hours later, "Where are you? Dad's driving around looking for you." Mom's crying. I didn't reply. Instead, I saved every voicemail and screenshot every text. I didn't know if I'd ever need them, but I wasn't about to leave evidence in their control. Something in my gut told me they might try to twist this later. I spent that day with Marcus. He listened while I explained everything, shaking his head in disbelief. "They can't force you to co-sign. That's insane. And selling your car without your consent? Dude, that's theft." I didn't know if it was legally theft, since Dad's name had been on the title too. But it was theft in spirit. It was taking something that was mine, without my say, to fix Emily's mess. Marcus offered to let me stay as long as I needed. I accepted for the time being. That afternoon, we walked to the library, and I used one of their computers to start looking at my options. Temporary jobs, college deferment policies, maybe even financial aid now that my parents clearly weren't supporting me. It was overwhelming, but at least I was moving. That night, lying on Marcus's couch, I checked my phone again. Another voicemail from Dad. "Fine. If you want to be out, you're out. Don't come crawling back when the world chews you up. You'll regret this." Maybe he was right. Maybe the world would chew me up, but at least it would be on my own terms. For the first time, I realized the truth. I wasn't the reliable one. I was just the expendable one. And leaving wasn't the reckless choice. Staying was. Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since I walked out. At first, the silence was heavy. Even with Marcus's couch under me and his fridge open to share, I felt like I was floating without gravity. No schedule, no car, no home. My phone kept buzzing nonstop that first week. Missed calls, voicemails, texts from mom begging me to come back, from dad demanding I stop embarrassing the family, and from Emily swinging between insults and guilt trips. I ignored them all, but I saved everything. Screenshots, audio files, even the caller ID logs. Some part of me, maybe out of instinct, felt I'd need a record. By day 3, the tone shifted. Mom's messages got shorter, more desperate. We just want to talk. Dad's got meaner, ungrateful. After everything we've done for you. Emily's. She was the most unpredictable. One text said, "You don't care about family." Another, sent at 2 a.m., just said, "I can't believe you do this to me. Everyone hates me now." For once, I felt no urge to fix her crisis. Meanwhile, I started building a life from scratch. Marcus helped me land a temporary job unloading trucks at a warehouse. It wasn't glamorous, but it was money. I started commuting by bus, 2 transfers, 45 minutes each way. Funny thing is, I didn't even mind. Those rides gave me time to think. One morning on the bus, I remembered the car. My Civic. I pulled up my email, found the old title transfer documents, and realized something. Dad had sold it under both our names. Which meant I should have signed off, too. But my signature wasn't on that paperwork. That thought chilled me. Had he forged it? Or had the buyer just looked the other way? Either way, something about it smelled illegal. I walked into the library that afternoon and requested my credit report. When it came back, my stomach dropped. 2 hard inquiries in the past month that I hadn't authorized. Both from lenders. Both denied. They hadn't just asked me to co-sign Emily's loan. They'd already tried, without me. That night, I called a legal aid hotline. A tired-sounding attorney walked me through my rights. He said if they attempted to use my information without consent, that was fraud. If Dad forged my signature on the car title, that was a crime too. The attorney advised me to keep documenting everything and, if needed, file a police report. I hung up feeling equal parts terrified and validated. All those years I'd thought maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was just too sensitive, like Mom always said. But no, I wasn't crazy. They really had been grooming me as their safety net. The next day, I got another voicemail from Mom. This time she was crying. "Your father is beside himself. Emily's a wreck. Please, just come home so we can work this out like a family." I listened twice, then set my phone down. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness. From anger. Because in that entire message, there wasn't a single apology. Not a single acknowledgement of what they'd done to me. Just more pleas to keep playing the role they'd cast me in. I didn't reply. By the end of the second week, I had a routine. Work the warehouse shift, bus back to Marcus's, make dinner together, crash on the couch. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. One evening, after a long day, Marcus looked at me across the kitchen table and said, "Dude, you look lighter, like you're finally breathing." And he was right. I was exhausted, broke, technically homeless. But I wasn't under their thumb anymore. For the first time, I felt like my choices were mine. Of course, the silence didn't last. Yesterday, I came home to find a note taped to Marcus's front door. In Dad's handwriting, it said, "We know you're here. This childish stunt ends now. Call us." My chest tightened, but instead of panicking, I snapped a photo of it. Then I tore it down, folded it, and put it in the same folder where I was saving all my documentation. I knew one thing for sure. If they kept showing up, I'd have no choice but to take it further. Restraining order, police report, whatever it took. Because here's what I'd finally learned. Walking away wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was not going back. Right now, I'm still on that couch, still working shifts, still planning my next step. Maybe community college, maybe full-time work for a while to build savings. My parents don't know it, but the more they push, the more I harden against them. Every voicemail, every guilt trip, every threat. It only proves that leaving was the smartest decision I ever made. And maybe one day, when the dust settles, they'll realize I'm not their scapegoat, their backup plan, or their disposable son. I'm just me. Final update. It's been about 3 months since I walked out with my backpack and letter. In some ways, it feels like a lifetime ago. In others, like it just happened yesterday. I'm writing this now from a small rented room. Nothing fancy, just four walls, a bed, and a desk I bought secondhand. But it's mine. I pay the rent with my own money from the warehouse job. And while the work is backbreaking, each paycheck feels like proof I'm not who my parents told me I was. They said I'd come crawling back. I didn't. The fallout on their end has been chaotic. I know because, despite blocking their numbers, word still filters back through extended family and mutual acquaintances. My cousin messaged me on Instagram. Apparently, Dad drove around for days after I left, furious, saying I'd betrayed the family. Mom broke down crying at a family dinner, saying I was being manipulated by outside influences. Emily posted some cryptic status about snakes who abandon their family when it gets tough. But then, about a month in, the narrative started to shift. The lenders must have rejected them again, because my aunt told me Dad ranted about how the boy ruined everything by refusing to sign. Suddenly, my betrayal wasn't just disobedience. It was the reason their financial mess was spiraling. It was almost funny if it didn't sting so much. They'd taken everything I had, then blamed me for not giving more. The biggest twist came 2 weeks ago. Emily texted me from a new number. I hadn't blocked that one yet. The message just said, "I hate Mom and Dad. They've ruined everything. Please, can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to answer. Not to forgive, but to understand. Another part of me remembered her smirk that day at the table, the way she didn't hesitate to benefit from my losses. In the end, I didn't reply. I blocked the number and sat with the silence. Because here's the truth. Sometimes the person who hurt you is also hurting. But that doesn't make them safe. On the practical side, I've taken steps to protect myself. With the help of the legal aid lawyer, I pulled full credit reports from all three bureaus. Thankfully, aside from those inquiries I caught earlier, no new loans were opened in my name. That folder of saved texts, voicemails, and even the note Dad left on Marcus's door, I gave copies to the lawyer. He told me bluntly, if they try anything, this is more than enough to prove harassment or fraud. For the first time, I feel insulated. Not untouchable, but aware, prepared. What surprised me most in all this wasn't their betrayal. Deep down, I'd expected it. The warning signs were always there, in the way I was treated like an afterthought, in how every family decision bent around Emily. No, the surprise was what happened when I chose myself. I thought I'd collapse without them, that I'd drown in guilt or loneliness. Instead, I found quiet. A heavy, aching quiet at first, but then a freeing one. No more walking on eggshells, no more rehearsing how to sound grateful while being drained. Just me, and the slow rebuilding of a life that's mine alone. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt. Birthdays sting. Family gatherings sting. Even walking past the grocery store where Mom used to buy those cheap cakes stings. Because family, even broken family, leaves roots in you. And pulling them out doesn't heal cleanly. But pain isn't the same as regret. If I'd stayed, I'd be trapped in their cycle forever, giving, apologizing, sacrificing until nothing was left of me. By leaving, I lost my parents. I lost my sister. But I gained the one thing I'd never had in that house: self-respect. The other night, Marcus and I sat on the porch after work, sharing takeout. He asked me if I ever thought about reconciling. I thought about it for a long time before answering. Maybe someday. If they change. If they ever see me as more than a resource. But even as I said it, I realized I didn't need that anymore. Whether they change or not, I'll keep moving. So here's where I stand now. I'm enrolled for night classes at the community college starting next semester, paid for with my own savings and some federal aid. I've got a steady job, a roof, and people around me who actually respect me. My family. They're still spinning, still trying to paint me as the villain. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all. Walking away doesn't guarantee justice. Sometimes the people who hurt you will never admit it, will never change. But walking away does guarantee one thing: they can't keep using you. And that, to me, is enough. I used to think family was everything. That blood was thicker than water. That sacrifice was love. Now I know better. Family isn't the people who share your last name. Family is the people who don't put a price tag on your worth. And for the first time in 19 years, I finally have a chance to find mine.